So what is a micro lick? What is that about? Well, it's a term I came up with to fix a problem. Because licks have an inbuilt challenge within them, and that is the fact that it's a little piece of somebody else's solo, right? It has the bending, the vibrato, the sliding of that person. And it's a great study into how to use these different phrasing techniques on top of each other or in the same little phrase. But they have this challenge that if you focus on learning bits and pieces of other people's solos, and you then play your own solos with that, then that is like trying to put together a story with sentences from other books. It's going to sound a little bit like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and right, you're going to go, well, haven't I heard that before? Isn't that something, And so if you really want to, have a practice method that builds your own original playing style, you want to go deeper. You want to go into, instead of having this many notes, right, this long a sentence, you want to go to words and then to letters, right? And that's why I'm such a big believer in learning sequences, which is basically just a mathematical way of going up and down scales. It's totally cold. It has no... Right? But then when you take that ability to move your fingers and combine notes in different... then you can suddenly start to really improvise because you're using the fabric of music, which is sequences, or fabric of melody anyway. But what about licks then? Licks has a cool thing built into them. They have bends, they have vibrato, all kinds of stuff. And because I was so lazy, I didn't want to learn long strings of notes. I just looked into the little, so this came intuitively because, of laziness. So I just started, learning licks that were just 2 or 3 notes long. So I could just go... that's it, right? And then because they were so short, then they stopped sounding like everybody else because the shorter they are, if you play one note, who does that belong to, right? Nobody, right? Nobody. And if you go, it doesn't belong to anybody. But if you go, right, then suddenly, that's from Lord of the Rings, and that's a sentence from whatever, Star Wars, whatever it is. And you start listening and recognizing that is from another story / another player, right? So let's try and dive into this. I'm going to first take just the simplest of micro licks. And I should say, in my upcoming program here, which is a huge program on the style of rock blues or blues rock, I have 50 of these little babies here that you can use to totally build a really cool playing style in this style of music, or in any other for that matter. But what we're going to do, we're just going to take this one. So basically what you do, I'm in B here, right? I'm just going to show you the methodology of doing this. So I'm bending, I'm in the first position, B, blues scale shape here, in the 7th fret. I'm bending the 10th fret, B string, up a note, so it's a whole tone up. So if you play the 10th and the 12th fret on the B string, and then you bend up to that note, then I stop the note and hit the same B in the on the high E string in the 7th fret. And just to get the whole thing with it included here, I'm also strumming the strings. So I get this muted sound here, and muting all the strings behind my 3rd finger. Then I'm stopping the sound. Once I'm up there, I stop by placing my pick, so I'm ready to play the high E string in the 7th fret. So I go, right? That's the lick. That's a micro lick. Doesn't belong to anybody. Just sounds bluesy, right? So what do you do with it? Well, you end it. That's it. So you take this. And if you know your first position blues scale shape, you know that the note in the 10th fret on the high E string is also very bendable. So I'm just gonna come up with different endings to the same phrase. This is the solution to how to play fluently and how to improvise and just play in the moment. Just produce the coolest solo in the style of music with no preparation. You're just doing it slow. So let's improvise slow. Let's take something we know and combine with another thing I know. So I'm going to take the 10th fret bend it up one whole tone, stop it, and go right back to the unbended 10th fret E string. So that's one thing. Let me have some fun with that. And this is the key in this process here, that you want to make it very practical. So, see, I'm adding rhythm. Bow, bass, bow, da, right? Ba, da, da, da. It's another rhythm. Or I can loop it. There's how we're going. I can choose another note. But in order to do that, I want to play. So I'm going back to the 10th fret B string. And then I have my first finger free to go to the G string 7th fret. So. And then 9th fret D string. That's okay, let's play around with that. Basically doing here, and this I'm showing you, it's a little bit too fast, right? But I'm simply just investigating first without the music in the beginning, and then perhaps with a metronome afterwards, and then you can put on the music, so you don't have that beat in the background that's going to stress you and put a limit to your creativity. So that's one. I'll go to the 7th fret G string, bend it up, and hit the 9th fret D string. Right? Or I also know that if I combine this B blues scale with the B Dorian scale, or it's just an A major scale, then I get an extra note in the 9th fret on the B string. And I can bend that up as well. Or I can go and then bend it up to the 10th fret. Alright? So I'm gonna bend it up and do some vibrato. This is the process. It's a magical process that will absolutely enable you to build that free playing style. But so now we have a different variations here, or endings to the micro lick. Then what we can do next is change it. Right? That's the next process here. In taking a little lick, then ending in a different way. Yeah, we can come up with, slide up to the blue note in the 13th fret on the high E string. But then we change it. We play some other notes, and I could go for the 9th fret, my blue note then, instead of the 10th fret, and then hit the 9th fret, bend it up to the 10th. Right? Or I could go. And then I can end that in the same way, right? I could say, to change it, I could shift the whole thing to the G string. So I play the 9th fret on the G string, bend that up in one whole tone. And then hit the 7th fret on the B string. Right? That was the first. This is the change. Or I can, instead of hitting a new string, I can hit the same string. Right? So I bend up. This is the first lick. Right? I'm just going to bend up. And then hit the B string in the 7th fret. And combine it with the first. Right, the 9th fret out. Right, and once I played around with it and try to create something that sounds like a lick. right? The same string, bend up, and then play the lowest note on that same string. So see, this process here, if I continue doing that, and I keep getting creative about where to end this little lick here, and changing it, choosing other notes, I can, instead of going for the same string and going, right, as we did, we can go for the lower string. That was the higher. That's the lower. Right? Or the 9th fret B string. Right, sounds wacky. High E string. Go for the same string or a lower string. Doesn't sound not pretty good. Or I can go for that Dorian note in the 9th fret on the B string. Okay, now I have a ton of variations already. So if I keep doing that over and over and over again with no music, with no, beat in the background, and then I put on the jam track and suddenly I'm, crazily inspired and I have all kinds of options here. Let me see if I can load the samples here before we start playing. Right. So this is absolutely the process, but by taking a concept like micro licks, which is just a little tiny lick, and then doing this with all 50 micro licks, and what we do in the program is that we take each position in the minor pentatonic and say we have 5 positions, and then we place 10 micro licks in each shape. Then you gain the ability to just go from shape to shape, and you stay with one shape at a time, and 10 different micro licks that you then change and mold, come up with new endings, and then you change the actual notes within them. And that gives you just that just develops you through all 5 shapes on the fretboard and gives you the power to improvise all over the neck. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of that, and then I'll see you tomorrow.